but in Melbourne at my Aunt Betty Sue's yesterday, 2 days ago. Little Matthew here made his mom, Judy, and I graduate from clown school, which we graduated with flying colors. So now I get to kind of do this. Anyway, we'll get started. I'm Lisa Jeffery. Some of you might know me from that Facebook page I started. And I'll just say something really short about that, but sometime we need to explain what happened. I think about 2005 and 2006, I knew the potential of Facebook groups. And 2008, my mother died, and I was lonely, and then I remembered I have a big Jeffery family out there. So I started getting more active, but nobody came. I started the Jeffery family group, and nobody came. So 2 of my first cousins felt sorry for me, and they became members. And then about 4 years ago, it exploded. We have almost 300 members now. And when we decided to go to Mount Olive and meet, because I live in Miami, Florida, James lives in Michigan, Judy lives in Delaware, we didn't know each other, but we had the same desire. We want to go back to Mount Olive. We don't have anywhere to stay. We don't know anybody. And we did. 3 years ago, we rented a cabin on the river at Mount Olive, Ruby's Landing. And I said, build it and they will come. And they did. They came. People, local people, we couldn't believe it. And we also couldn't believe that when we looked at each other, we felt like we knew each other. We're kin. We're related. It's obvious. And we grew. The next year, we grew. We were at Ruby's Landing again, and we outgrew Ruby's because the Hanks showed up, and more Jeffreys showed up, and we knew we had to stay somewhere where we could all stay. And this is our first year here, and we're working out a lot of glitches, and we're not perfect, but we're doing a pretty darn good job of that. Yeah. So this year is the 150th anniversary of the Civil War. And so we have a project. Now, we have to thank Dale Hanks, who started, Dale, I know you're hiding, just stand up a bit. Stand up. And
program was this morning.
And he's responsible for all of this spirit of getting together, everything, the history, everything. And, you know, I just came along and Dale guided me in this because he saw what I was doing. You guided me. And then he organized our Civil War soldiers. So, we are going to celebrate, and we're going to tell you, finally, about a lot of these soldiers today. The Jeffery family, our family, descendants of James Jeffery and Jane Mason, had what we think is 39 soldiers in the Civil War. 39. Now, years ago, Dale put together a list and there were 30. And I took that list and I said, where are they buried? Where did they die? And those that had a death of 1865, 64, 63, 62, there was nothing about them. So guess what? I figured out they were killed in the war. And so now we did this as a team on the Facebook group. I said, I need to research these deaths. And something magical happened. Documents appeared on the Facebook page. And we were trying to figure out who is this B. Jeffery. And with several sets of eyes on it, we figured out it's Beniah. We solved a lot of mysteries in this combined research that we did as a family on the Facebook group. And it was exciting. Now somebody's got to put all these pieces of the puzzle together and explain it, and that's what Dale used to do. But and I'm looking at that now because I had a big puzzle, and I'm going to summarize it. So what we have for you today is the story of the Jeffery family, our family, descendants of James, but also descendants of old Jess, his brother, because that family had a lot of stories from the Civil War right alongside us, and they're included. So we're going to have some fun with it. I put the name of the Jeffery boy, the regiment, on a piece of paper, and each of you have one. Let me hold them up. Let's see the Jeffery boys in the Civil War. Amazing. You're looking at almost a platoon or a brigade. We put them all together. Now, what I'm going to do is ask by unit. Many of them served in the Arkansas Bloody Seventh, the Fearless. Now let me go down the list so we can see first, and then I'll tell you the story. Let's look at the 1st Arkansas Mounted Rifles or Cavalry or Infantry. Who's got a 1st Arkansas? Look at that. You got one. Freeman, Colonel Freeman. Oh, that's Missouri. That's right. So 1st Arkansas. Look at that. We had 4. The 6th Arkansas Infantry. We had 1. Lonely Jeffrey. Good. The 7th. Now this is the Bloody 7th. Isaac was killed, or not Isaac, Suska, Jehoiada Suska. Let's see the 7th. Okay, good. We had 6. Now the other ones are small. Let me go down to 1 and 2. We had the 27th Arkansas Infantry. So that means our boy is Jesse, killed at Shiloh. Let's see, the 27th was at Shiloh.
The 27th was merged with the 7th.
With the 7th. Okay, good. So we had a lot. Okay, then we had the, let's see another one, the 34th Arkansas Infantry. And what are some of the names?
John Jeffrey.
John Jeffrey.
Jesse Jeffrey II.
Jesse Jeffrey II. Okay, he died as a POW in Rock Island, but I'll tell you that story. The other ones are smaller. We have the 46th Arkansas Infantry. Who's got that? Okay, good, good. And then we had some Missouri, in the Missouri Cavalry. Now, yes, we have, what unit was that?
1st Missouri Infantry.
And what was the name?
Isaac Jeffery.
Your name, Isaac Jeffery, served in the 1st Arkansas Infantry.
Lisa, I
Yes.
hate to interrupt, but the 1st Missouri Cavalry was assigned to the White River Valley between Batesville and Marion County. Their primary purpose was to protect the ammunition works in the caves here. They were only in 3 or 4 battles in Missouri at all. They were at Pea Ridge, they were at several battles, but their primary duty was here. And Colonel Thomas Freeman organized that group from Missouri under Joseph Shelby. He brought the Missourians down here. They went and recruited. Over 70% of his group was from Izard and Independence County.
70% of his group.
Yeah, his grandson I've been in communication with, and he emailed me a list of the men under his grandfather and sent me an original picture of Thomas Rowe Freeman and some of his orders, because they could not keep records because they were protecting the ammunition that was for the Confederacy, the Arkansas Confederacy.
Oh.
And so we've learned that Colonel Baxter ordered Balmer to find Thomas Rowe Freeman under any circumstances killed him, any of his men, slash and burn the towns in their way. They left Batesville. They went through Hookram, Lunenburg. They had a battle at Lunenburg. They went to Mount Olive. I believe from the records that I've read, they intentionally murdered Isaac Jeffery because he was the son-in-law of Colonel John Jacob Kemp. He was married to Jehoiada Kemp. And I believe they murdered him specifically because he was him. He had been he had seen something happen the day before, and I believe those men went and told him where he was at.
And they went
And
after
then
him.
they burned Mount Olive. They went from Mount Olive, they crossed the river at Livingston Creek, they came down to Sylamore, they burned Sylamore, they went up the South Sylamore Creek, they tortured Absalom Rory and two of his sons. We had believed they had killed him and two of his sons, but we've since learned one of those sons died as a POW, and two other sons were given 3 days to bury their father and brother, and then they were forced to join the Union. This was all in a 4-day period.
Oh my gosh. Yay. Well, why don't we start? These boys, I have here 4 boys killed, Jeffrey boys killed in the Civil War. And why don't we start, because we're talking about Isaac, let's start with Isaac. Now, do you want me to hold this? Yes.
Okay. My name was Isaac Jeffery. I was born December.
Can you hear him?
No, put my name in mine. Yeah, there you
My name is Isaac Jeffery. I was born December 20th, 1849, and died January 25th, 1865. I died because I was injured because I was shot, and I was sent back home to Mount Olive, and so I was like getting corn ready for my family, and then the Union soldiers saw me, and so the next day they specifically targeted me, and I knew that they were coming, so I ran and they shot me. They threw me in a creek and stole all my items I had on me, and then my grandmother's slave found me, and then my grandmother and her slave found me, buried me, and I got a proper burial.
Lisa, it was 1864.
1864.
There was
Okay.
some confusion about it, but we have been able to get the Union records that verify it was January the 25th, 1864, the day following the battle at Lunenburg. And we believe that the people that he saw the day before were the scouts the Union scouts that had gone out to scout out Mount Olive.
Oh,
And they were
okay.
local boys. We know who they were. They were
Oh.
local boys, but
Okay, good. We cleared that up. Now, let's go to Isaac's brother. His little brother was also fighting. And that is Jehoiada Quincy Suska Jeffery.
I'm Jehoiada Quincy Jeffery. My nickname was Suska. And I was born on August 7th, 1844 in Mount Olive, Arkansas. The reason why I died is because we had buried a trench, and I can't remember the general's name, but he told us to move and attack the Union, but he told us to sneak around them and attack them from behind. Well, that didn't work out so well. We got stuck in a thicket bush, and our guide wasn't the smartest of using the map, so we ended up on the left flank of the Union Army. We ran out of ammunition while fighting them, there were the last 2 guys left, and everybody had run out of ammo. And I decided to pull out my knife while they were reloading and run at them and try to kill them. Well, I didn't know that this one person had his gun reloaded faster than I thought he did. And he shot me right in between the eyes. I died in Atlanta on July 22nd, 1864. Thank you.
And I just want to say something about Seska. 2 years ago, from letters that were written to Jehoiada Quincy's parents, we knew that the Confederate soldiers had been they were just buried in mass graves where they fell. The Union soldiers got markers. But the general's widow had them dug up and reburied at the Atlanta cemetery in the unknown Confederate, where the Confederate unknown soldier's grave. So 2 years ago we had Harley Jeffery, who lives in Atlanta. He went and he talked to the cemetery people, and he stood there and took a picture of where Jehoiada Quincy Seska is buried. And for the first time, we knew where he was. He's in the unknown soldier grave, right on that spot. And we hope to do the same for Shiloh. And we hope to do the same for Corinth, Mississippi, and the other battles that we began to unearth. That's where Jeffries fell. That's where they are. So now let's move to another set of brothers who were also killed within a day of each other, I believe, or they were killed on the same day at Shiloh, and they were brothers. Let's start with the older brother, Beniah and Jesse.
Beniah Jeffery was born June 17, 1840, in Ozark County, Arkansas. Enlisted in the Confederate Army September 23, 1861, near Pocahontas, Arkansas. Killed April 6, 1862.
Now his younger brother, Jesse Jeffery, was also at Shiloh and also killed. And how old were you, Jesse?
I think I was 20.
20, okay. So let's hear from Jesse Jeffery, killed at Shiloh. You might have to move over.
Okay, so let me put this stuff down. Okay, my name is Jesse Jeffery, and I lived for 20 years, 1842 to 1862. I was in the 27th Arkansas Infantry. I was killed in 1862 at Battle of Shiloh, and they didn't give too much information on the sheet that I was given. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Good. We want to thank our soldiers and their...
We know that Jesse was killed the second day of battle from a letter that was sent home by a neighbor that lived in the Barrens near Mount Pleasant. He listed the who he knew that had died on the first day of battle and who died on the second day of battle, and then who died on the third day.
Are there copies of that letter?
I have a handwritten. The letter was written by my great uncle to his parents, and several members of our family have handwritten the letter, because at the time that they saw the letter, we don't know who has the original letter, but several people have handwritten copies where the letter got passed around, and they would rewrite the letter so that they could keep a copy of it.
Amazing.
And that's how many of the family actually found out their children had died is through that letter, and we found that out.
That's amazing. The ones that we had letters on is just so valuable. Yes.
I want to thank, and I think we all do, my Mimi and Aunt Dee for making these costumes and helping us.
Hey, cool.
And you also had some homework, I think. Yeah, what was your homework?
We had to learn a song.
They've learned a song, I think they can sing it.
We had to learn a song about Dixieland. So
Would y'all stand up and sing a little bit?
Stand up and sing. Can we sing it?
Wait.
Gather around the microphone.
okay, do we have to sing the whole song?
Yes.
We'll sing with you.
We'll sing along.
Okay. Oh, I wish I was in the land of cotton. Old times there are not forgotten. Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland. In Dixieland where I was born, early on a frosty morning. Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland. I wish I was in a Dixie. Hooray, hooray! In Dixieland, I'll leave my stand to live and die in Dixieland. Away, 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 down south in Dixieland. Come on, make a bucket case and things in better. Makes you better.
What singers? I think you all went too. What's that? You wanted to sing the whole thing? Well, go ahead if you want to do the second one.
You can do it solo.
Do a solo.
Oh, okay.
Back him up.
I'm gonna do it. Okay. Just me and Nicholas.
Get on with it, buddy.
Give him a solo. Okay. This is gonna be funny.
I'm not the best singer.
Yeah, but you're brave enough, though.
Oh, I wish I was in the land of cotton. Old times there are not forgotten. Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland. In Dixieland where I was born, early on one frosty morning. Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland. I wish I was in Dixie. Hooray, hooray! In Dixie, I'll take my stand to live and die in Dixie. Away, 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 down south in Dixie. Away, 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 down south in Dixie. There's buckwheat cakes and Injun butter. Fatter. Makes you fatter, a little fatter. Look away, Dixieland. And mow it down and scratch your gravel. To Dixieland, I'm bound to travel. Look away, Dixieland. I wish I was in Dixie. Hooray, hooray! I'm in Dixieland. I'll take my stand to live and die in Dixie. Away, 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 down south in Dixie. Away, 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 down south in Dixie.
I'm only gonna sing like 3 verses because I'm a good singer. I don't think. Oh, I wish I wasn't in a cotton. No times there are not.
Yay! They didn't say it, but they also went to Shiloh as part of their homework. And I was really amazed that their grandmother Where's her grandmother, Linda? She took this very seriously, and so did they. And we are really proud of you. Why don't you tell us your real names?
I'm Zach Kuntzman.
I am Robert Kuntzman.
Gotta have that gun to say the name.
Charles Kuntzman.
Nate Kuntzman.
Yay! Yay! You may have started another Jeffrey tradition. Thank you. Okay, you guys you can stay here if you want, or you can march out. Yay! Let's give them a hand. Staying. Isaac's staying with us. You guys can come stay if you want. Now, let me just summarize a little bit of this piece of puzzle as I'm writing. Of the, I'm not sure if it's 39 or 40 because we can't identify a few of them. But of those, say 40, 12 died. 12 Jeffreys died in the Civil War. 5 were killed in action. And we saw those today, at least 4 of them. The other was Porter Bone, was killed, and I'll tell you just a minute. Porter S., I believe, Bone. A. Porter A. Bone was killed at Oxford, Mississippi. And when we look, is anyone from that family? Let's see, he was the son-in-law of Ida Jeffery, married to Sarah Jane Milligan, daughter of Ida Jeffery and James Jeffery. So we have a lot of Milligans too. Are there any Milligans here? Yes? Okay, we've got a Milligan there. So when we looked for where he was buried and when he died, and the last records they had was in Corinth, Mississippi. So he was our 5th that we know that was killed in action in the Civil War. Now also we had 8 Jeffreys taken prisoner, and 7 of them were taken to Rock Island Prisoner of War Camp in Illinois, an island in the middle of the Mississippi. And if you remember Gone with the Wind, Ashley Wilkes was captured and taken to Rock Island. Do you remember that in the movie? So 7 were taken to Rock Island and 1 was taken to a prisoner of war camp in Nashville. Of those 7 in Rock Island, only 2 survived. And that was Asa and Ambrose, another set of brothers. Where's Asa and Ambrose? Okay. They're of the Miles clan. Now the other ones that died, and I'd like to say their names. Jesse Jeffrey II, son of old Jess. Jesse Breaky was Jesse's nephew. Nephew and uncle were captured together, and they died of pneumonia in Rock Island. Pneumonia, smallpox, they were all kinds of diseases. And the others were possibly died at Rock Island is James McCall, the husband of Martha C. Jeffrey, daughter of old Jess. So old Jess's family had a very sad time because a lot of them were captured and taken to Rock Island as prisoners of war. Henry Nichols was the one that was taken prisoner of war to Nashville and died there. He was the husband of Mary Jane Jeffrey, daughter of Daniel Jeffrey. Henry Nichols married Mary Jane Jeffrey in 1839. They had 1 child. So, of those killed in the prisoner of war, now as I'm looking at this and I'm researching, we had 1 more that somebody emailed me on Facebook. Well, don't forget Milas Hoop. Who's got Milas Hoop? and this was Mary Ann Woody. He was the father-in-law of a Jeffery woman, I believe, putting this stuff together and explaining it. So as I typed him into the database, it said captured on Christmas Day, 1863, I think. Yes, captured on Christmas Day. And I thought, that sounds familiar. I just wrote that somebody else was captured on Christmas Day and taken to Rock Island. So I learned that there are families captured together. I mean, uncle, nephew, father-in-law, and a lot of these came from Old Jess, taken to Rock Island. Now, if there's ever a movie about this, this is amazing. Our family history is amazing. And the storytellers of the family are the reason why we're here. And Dale Hanks has told a lot of it. And now we're researching more, and because of the internet and because of getting together, we are starting to find where they're buried. And I hope one day we can go visit Corinth, Mississippi. We can go to Shiloh, to the unknown Confederate soldier tombs, and we know our relative is there. We can put memorial stones in our Jeffery cemeteries for these. So if you have a question, I think I'll summarize it a little bit. This database I will put on Facebook, and I have put older versions of it, but now that we're putting it together, we are finding out more, and we're doing it together. I also wanted to know, where are they buried? So on the database, I have where they're buried, and we're starting to begin to understand. So if I read page 2, this is what it says under cemetery. Unknown Confederate Soldier Cemetery, Shiloh, Tennessee. Unknown Confederate Soldier Cemetery, Atlanta, Georgia. Unknown Confederate Cemetery at Corinth, Mississippi. That's where the Jeffreys are. And it's really amazing. Now, the stories that you can actually look at this and you can put together groups of cousins and you can see that they served together. I was most interested in the Bloody Seventh. Who's got the Bloody Seventh again? The Bloody Seventh. And this is our Jehoiada Quincy. And so I started looking at the battles of the Bloody Seventh, and I started figuring out they were together. They were together here. They were together there. The Civil War was just a horrible time. And as I got into it, I got the Ken Burns documentary on the Civil War. And of course, my friends don't want anything to do with me as what are you doing? I'm Civil War tonight. I'm Civil War, and I'm watching the documentary. I'm reading it on my Nook, and I'm starting to put the picture together, and I never imagined it was so bloody. And now as we're starting to find out our family, I think it's very exciting, this stuff. So I think I'll leave it as questions. If you're curious about who you're holding there, or if you're curious about your ancestor, how many of you know your ancestor was in the Civil War? Let's see hands. And what were their names?
Ambrose and Asa.
Ambrose and Asa survived Rock Island POW camp. And who else?
Daniel Mason Sr.
And he survived. How
He
many?
survived the war. He wasn't in a prisoner of war.
Right. Who else? Noel?
Ambrose and Asa.
Ambrose and Asa. And Ambrose and Asa? Yeah.
I have questions. It's Jeffrey Bernard. It was died April 7, 1862, Battle of Shiloh.
Beniah
Eight.
or Bernard.
We figured out that was Beniah.
That's Beniah.
We studied that, and we figured out it was Beniah.
Okay.
And they called him Benji, Benji, in the letter home.
Oh, you have a question?
I actually wanted to say that me and, well, pretty much all of us, we went to the Battle of Shiloh, and we actually found where we were battling.
You found the battle.
Mimi took them to the Battle of Shiloh. They took them to the battlefield and showed them around. Just so when they were getting ready for this, they did a little road trip. So they wanted to see where some of them were killed.
What did you feel when you were there?
I felt like that it's a whole lot different than.
I felt like it was a whole lot different than it was at the beginning because, I felt like that. Well, I really didn't think much, but I just thought that it was really cool that we could actually find all those graves and all the cool places that we saw.
It's a rare thing for people of your age to experience this too. It really is.
That's right.
And take an interest in it.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Very commendable.
Yeah.
Who else had relatives that they know fought? Isaac descendants here.
This is Henry B. Harris, 6th infantry, died in the war. He says
That was Lucretia's son. Yeah. And he died possibly. See, we weren't able to confirm that one. We think he died, but we weren't able to confirm it. Now, a few people on the Facebook page are really good at getting these Civil War documents. We need to find something. But if he disappeared from the records, we're pretty certain he died. But what I did with this database is these were confirmed. We knew we had confirmed it. And we cleared up a lot of names because of Beniah, and we figured it out because Beniah served in the 14th and the 8th.
Which Henry?
Henry B.
Henry Bibb Harris. He married Nancy Jane Avey.
yes.
He didn't die in the war. He died in 1919 at McPherson in Baxter County. He married Nancy Jane Avey. That was Anna Lou's parents.
Was there not?
He did not die in the war, but he
Right.
did fight.
Were there two Henry Harrises?
Yes, there were.
Yes, probably. Let me look.
There were.
That's where you have to be careful which one's which.
Well, this
Yeah.
is Henry B, but I thought there was a Henry M.
Yeah,
I
there
can
was.
imagine that somewhere.
There was a Henry M. Nichols.
There's
But he was
Henry
from a different
Bibb
family.
Harris that died in 1853. There's a Henry Bibb Harris Jr. Yes, there's another Henry Bibb Harris. There's two. Bibb was their a family name, kind of like Jehoiada. It was the last name of a family member. He died. Henry Bibb Harris died in 1862. Don't have a date, but it was during the war, and he was married to Sarah Abigail Hayes, and they had one son, Franklin D. Hayes.
And who were his
Harris, I mean.
Who were his parents?
His mother and father was Henry Bibb Harris, 1797 to 1853, and Eliza Cresswell.
Okay.
That's the one that died in the war.
Henry B. Harris. Yeah, that's when I
But
got
but
it.
there's two Henry B. Harrises.
Right. This is the one that died in the war.
Yes.
And he was a private in the 6th Arkansas Infantry. And that's not the one that survived.
Right. There's
And
two.
it gets confusing because we have the same names again and again and again in generation. Right, right. So as we've grown, what I have found is this is how we can break ourselves up into clans. Okay? And the clans go by the children of Jehoiada. So how it goes is the Daniel, who were the children of Jehoiada Jeffery? Daniel, Miles, Lucretia, who else? Elijah. And so we kind of group this, and I put a vote on there where people can vote. Which clan do you come from? Now, I come from the Daniel clan. Daniel, son of Jehoiada. And James's. Let's see all the people who come from the Daniel Mason clan. The Daniels. Okay. Now, I think one time at a reunion, we should have a tug of war. The Daniel clan against the Miles clan. The Miles clan is our second biggest, I think, of people active on the site. Miles, if you're a Miles descendant. Oh, good, good. And then Elijah. And you're, no, Beniah, or Isaac, Elijah. Look, we don't, Matthew, you're a Elijah. You come from the Elijah clan. We have three. Your mom, your grandpa.
Oh, y'all, okay.
Right, and then we have Lucretia. We have a Lucretia descendant here. Oh, she's my favorite. The whole Jeffery clan.
Lisa, do Miles again because we didn't hold our hands up.
Oh, okay. We'll start over. Daniel clan. Okay. Miles clan. Oh, okay. That's all the Hanks. All the Hanks are Miles. You guys are Miles clan.
There's a
Yay. Miles. So there's more Miles people here than Daniel's clan. Okay, Lucretia. Okay. And we had 3 Elijah, right? And then we have young Jess. Young Jess, we have one. Ginger Jones is young Jess. Last year we had several. And I don't think we have anyone from old Jess. And where are they? Does anybody know? Where are old Jess descendants? Why don't they stick together like we do?
They're in jail.
They're in jail.
Black
Right. So the last thing I want to say too, Dale Hanks has books of the yellow book, we call it. He's donating to the Jeffery Historical Society, $30. And that money will go. We now have a bank account, the Jeffery Historical Society, and we are going to ask for membership starting this year because we've got a lot of stuff to pay for. I have to pay for the rental of this room all weekend and paying for a lot. I pay for the membership in the Arkansas Historic Preservation Society. I've been doing that out of my pocket for years, and James has been paying things. We've all been paying out of our pocket.
Lisa, anyone that is here is eligible to be an Arkansas Pioneer. I mean, it's only $5 a year, or they might have raised it to $10. It's $100 for a lifetime membership. There were only 14,000 people that were here prior to 1850, and you had to be in Arkansas as established by a census by 1850. So it's a pretty prestigious, it was established in 1912, and it's a pretty prestigious little group of people, and remarkably, most of them come from here.
Yeah, from here.
Yeah.
Can we talk to you if we want to know more? Do you guys?
Can I say something about my character? My character was 22 whenever he died. He died 2 months after his 21st birthday, his 22nd birthday.
He was young.
He was
young.
And he was.
You were the youngest.
And he was 20 whenever he joined the war.
Right. Right.
I was the youngest. I joined at 15 and died at 19.
Oh.
Oh, that 15. That's very young. We have such a rich tradition, and we are fortunate because there aren't many families in America like us.
Hey, Nick, how about your dad giving you the horses?
Oh yeah.
Stand up.
Maybe keep going. Okay. So, me and my brother, Beniah, our dad, I think it was Jesse the Third. Jesse the Third. He gave us his best horses to go to the wars, so we didn't have to walk or anything. We just rode the horses.
Right, and you were in the 1st Mounted Infantry?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Go ahead. Are you done? How are you doing? Oh, okay. All right. Well, then I'll finish.
They like the microphone now.
Yeah, they like the microphone. So then, what I was saying is, we ask for a membership to keep it alive. This organization, and we are trying to become a nonprofit organization. And we need $800 for that application. And we only have 426 in the account. So we've got to ask for memberships of $25 a year and any donation you want to do for the Jeffery Historical Society. I'm going to write a check to the Mount Olive Church tomorrow when we go to the Mount Olive Church at the services at 10. Anyone that wants to go with us, because they take care of the Jehoiada Cemetery. And we need to do our part on that. And the Miles descendants go out and they're having trouble cleaning the Miles Cemetery. So the solution is just to hire someone to do it. They have a fund for that, and I don't want to get into that, but we have to help however we can. So we're going to write a check to do our part for the Mount Olive Church, because we're going tomorrow, and we're Jeffries and they're Jeffries. So anyway, and then we hope to do projects. When the tornado hit Mount Olive, Jehoiada's cemetery, and it broke Jehoiada's stone and 3 others, that has to be fixed. That's on the National Registry of Historic Places, and it can't be piecemealed together because of that. So who went to a school, there was a class, a seminar on how to fix historic, Elveda and Dwayne Lawrence, and they just fixed the ones they could. Jehoiada, there's 2 left that's so broken, they have to put those together. Now I applied for a grant from the Arkansas Historic Preservation Society to help us do that properly, and I was turned down because we're not a nonprofit organization. Last year I wrote an award nomination for the Miles Jeffery Cemetery under the category of restoring historic projects. We did not win, but we're still going to keep doing this. I need help with the Jeffery Society, the Historical Society. Committees, Dale is suggesting committees, and we will ask for that. There's also something else that, if you don't know about Carol Hayden's book, how many people of you have Carol Hayden's book? How many people of you don't know what it is? Okay, Carol Hayden, he must have had some kind of program for years, because he's updating this huge family, and it's about this thick. My copy's blue. I'm not in it. That's why Dale tried to figure out, who's this Lisa Jeffery, and everybody's trying to figure out, I'm not in it, because after my grandfather, nobody on my family updated it. So he updates it every summer, every fall. So he asks you in the summer to list your family and send it in to him, so you will be, now this is the source of who's who in the Jeffery family. You want to look up, if I want to look up Noel's in it, and I can find out who his father, his sisters, his siblings, his kids, Noel's in it. So we really need to get that word out. And Carol Hayden's getting up there in years. I don't know who's going to continue, but I know it's a valuable piece of a source for the Jeffery family. Someone brought a copy. I forgot mine. I left Miami and forgot it. You have yours. Who else brought a copy? And Noel, okay. If you can show them, maybe tonight when we're at the thing, or even here, if you've got it here, we rented this all day. This is our thing. Then you can take a look at it. Take a look to see if your family's in it. Now last year at Ruby's Landing, I gave everybody an assignment, and this is your homework. In a 10-second soundbite, I want you to recite your lineage to James Jeffery of Virginia. And so you might have to look in the book, and you get it to 10 seconds. Okay, so this is mine. I'm Lisa Jeffery, daughter of James Darrell Jeffery, son of Thomas Edwin Jeffery, son of Thomas Mason Jeffery, son of Jehoiada B. Jeffery, son of Daniel Mason Jeffery, son of Jehoiada Jeffery, son of James Jeffery. Yeah, now mine's a little longer than James because I'm 2 generations behind James, right? Can I hear yours?
James Jeffrey, son of Carl Jeffrey, son of Daniel Mason Jr., son of Daniel Mason Sr., son of Jehoiada, son of James Jeffrey of Virginia.
Good. No one else. Who wants to try it? Okay. Sorry, the microphone doesn't reach all the way over.
Your turn.
Evelyn Jones Ridgely. My mother was Nellie Victoria Wallace, and then she married Paul. After that, it was Arthur Warren Wallace, and then Atlantic Jeffrey, then Miles Jeffrey, then Jehoiada Jeffrey, then James Jeffrey, then James Jeffrey.
Yay! How many of you can do that? Let's hear another one. You gotta memorize it. That's the homework.
I'm Becky Taylor. I was Ward. My father was Vaughn Ward. His father was Carl Ward. His mother was Anna Lou Harris. Her father was Henry Harris. He was the son of Lucretia Jeffrey. She was the daughter of Jehoiada. Say it again. Jehoiada. And he was the son of James, who was the son of James.
Yay! Anybody else? No.
I'll try.
I'm Noel Jeffrey, son of Bodie Jeffrey.
Finest Ambrose.
Finest Ambrose. I'm Finest Noel Jeffrey. He was the son of Edwin W. Jeffrey. He was the son of Ambrose, the son of Miles, the son of Jehoiada, the son of James, and James was born the first American born in the United States. And I can take you to each one of her cemeteries, with the exception of one. I know where it is. It's under a road.
Yeah.
But have you ever been to Isaac Jeffrey's cemetery?
I don't think so.
I can show you it.
Are you
I can
going
show it to you.
We're going tomorrow.
tomorrow to some of those?
Yes.
Tomorrow afternoon?
All right. Thank you, Noel.
Thanks, Noel.
That was.
I have my daughter, so there's another generation, and she has 2 sons.
Whoa.
So we go a long way.
And you have a son named Greg.
I'd like to add that Noel has done extensive research in our family.
He has.
Before I had no children.
He has.
Now I can't remember.
Yeah. Good. So anyway, that's your homework. We'll hear you do your 10-second or more, depends on the generation. Tomorrow after the church service, we're going to the cemeteries in Mount Olive. So we have to stop and get a lunch to take with us. And I think there's a deli at Walmart that we'll get at the deli. And then we're visiting the cemeteries and the Jehoiada Jeffery homestead. So we're going to the Isaac.
Better get something for chiggers.
Cheers. Or else we'll get eat by cheers and be on fire.
Yep. I ain't kidding. I'm serious.
I can switch right back to my accent. And and I usually do. I work on it at my Aunt Betty Sue's before I come here.
We're wrapping things up a little bit.
Uh-huh.
I have, has everyone heard of a tub Dream Tough, a Civil War story, Adele Hanks.
No, but he's in the room.
It's awesome.
What is it?
It's called Dream Tough, a Civil War story, Adele Hanks. It's awesome.
It's about Ambrose.
It's about Ambrose.
Ambrose. Yeah.
There was a series of those ran in the Stone County Leader, local newspapers here in Mountain View. You remember when that was? About 10 years ago? Probably, Dale?
It was longer than that.
Was it longer than that? Maybe 15, maybe 15 years. You know how time goes. There was about a 7-week period though when they had that in the paper every week. It was a real good story.
It's just kind of a close to
Do you want to read it?
I'll read that.
Oh, if you can't come to this church service tomorrow, I would say meet at the Jehoiada Homestead.
She doesn't know
Oh, you don't know where it
What
is?
was his name?
Okay, let her do the story. We'll figure out. I'm not sure.
You need to get around.
I'll read it pretty fast.
Ambrose loses one dream but finds another. After spending the winter self-imposed isolation, Ambrose admitted to himself that he missed Indiana's company. It was February between winter and spring, a time of hope and a time of hope and hang on, lost my place. I missed it. He brought a second horse for her to ride. He missed her, and he brought a second horse for her to ride. Indiana, pleased to see him, agreed readily. They rode down the left bank of the White River, stopping at the blue swimming hole to water the horses. They sat on the creek and watched the catfish hide in the shadows of the giant oaks lining the bank. In 3 months, the catfish would be gone, and the splashing and laughing of Mount Olive youth and all would all fill silence. Indiana, Ambrose said, I've been thinking all winter about what you said and about how you can't lose something you never had. You helped me more than you know with that thought. That even if you don't come true, dreams are important, aren't they? They give us hope. I reckon so, Indiana replied. Even if they don't come true, they give us hope. It's like your life is a book with different chapters, and each chapter has a different dream. You finish one chapter, then move on to another. You like some chapters better than other ones, but they're all part of the same book. I want to close this chapter on the war and move on to the new chapter, the one with some happiness. Me too, said Ambrose. I had a dream once that I couldn't turn loose of, but it didn't come true, and I had to learn to turn loose of it. I want a new dream, Indiana, and I want you in it. I would like that very much, Indiana. The old man sitting by his wife's grave remembered every word of the conversation they had that day. Some of their dreams came true and some didn't, but the best ones did. They had begun a new chapter in their lives soon after the spring day, and they shared that dream for more than 30 years. Now, even though she was gone, the dream lingered in Ambrose's heart. The day after the jonquils had formed and their perfect circle around Indiana's grave, Ambrose decided to stay in Mount Olive. He took his homemade flute from his pocket as the sun dropped below the mountains, playing Dixie as a hymn. 2 years later, September 13th, 1900, an old, melancholy and weary Ambrose longs he would play for her birthday. After serenading her on his flute, he lay across the grave, dreaming of better days for the two of them. Asa found his body there the next morning. Old-timers swear that when the wind is right and the sun set perfect, you can just hear Dixie from the homemade flute and the sweet and notes drifting along the river.
That was a nice way to end the 2014 annual meeting of the Jeffery Historical Society. I'd like to thank you.